What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. CFC GP here with yet another video. You know what to do. Go ahead, like, subscribe, comment to this. Everything is greatly appreciated from you all. We got a big show today. We're talking about the PSR deadline, June 30th. It's like a mini transfer deadline day in itself. Chelsea are right in the thick of it with Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, Alexander Isak. There's a couple of other names that we're going to talk about. Omari Kellyman has been officially announced. Ian Maatsen has officially departed from the club. Who's going to be going the other way in these deals potentially? To Leicester, to Newcastle. We'll get into it right now. But before we get started, go ahead, find Cy Phillips Talks Chelsea. The link is right in the description. You can go there right now and subscribe, and you can get source transfer information. You get player reviews, scouting reports, match reports, podcasts, a live daily blog which aggregates all of the Chelsea's reports of the day. It's an amazing, amazing platform. So if you want to go ahead right now, hit that link in the description and subscribe. You can get all of that content and more. And I'm super excited to be a part of the family. So let's get into the video now. So what is the big deal about the PSR deadline? Every club in the English top flight needs to be under a certain operating loss. Now, from all reports, Chelsea is good on this, but their potential target, Kieran DewsburyHall, which was reported on Thursday, might be a player that moves from Leicester City because of this. Chelsea have had one bid rejected, which was under the valuation of about £35 million Leicester City has placed on the player. Chelsea want to move players in the other direction. So who could that be? It could be David Datro Fofana. It could be Armando Broja. It could be Cesar Casadei. There's a number of players that Chelsea could offload to Leicester City and do one of these swap deals to get some more profit in for us, and they obviously get profit from Leicester City side as well. But let's talk about Dewsbury-Hall and what makes him so good. He likes to operate in that attacking left-hand side in those half spaces. Him on one side, Cole Palmer on another side. Both players making nice through ball passes. Dewsbury-Hall had 26 goal involvements last year under Enzo Maresca, so there is a bit of familiarity there. Very durable player, and you do know what you're going to get from him. He didn't have the most impressive statistics in the Premier League, but he does have all of the skills, and he showed that as he was kind of unlocked in Maresca's system. So Chelsea like it. All reports are that it's not an Enzo Maresca signing, so to speak. Obviously, he likes the player. He signed off on him, but this is a long-term interest from Chelsea's scouting department and sporting directors. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dewsbury-Hall gets over the line. He had a medical schedule that was going to be a swap deal with Brighton and Leicester. But once Chelsea called, Dewsbury-Hall said, hold on a second. I either want to go to Chelsea or stay at Leicester City. So the next 24 hours will be critical. There is a period of time after the fact, which is the near miss period, where as long as negotiations are in good faith and a constant dialogue is happening, if it happens a week or 10 days after the PSR deadline, PSR will accept the transaction for this past fiscal year. So it might take a little bit, but I expect the next 24 hours to be really critical. So let's talk about a little bit how Dewsbury-Hall might fit in Maresca's system. It's easy to see what his statistics were, what his heat map looked like. I mean, he was really in that left-hand channel, that left-hand side interlinking with the left winger. So when you're going to talk about a left winger, you're going to want somebody who's pacey, who can get in and make runs from behind, past the back line, and Dewsbury-Hall is very good at making those passes. So let's talk about a little bit about how he might fit in and how his profile is a little different than the other attacking midfielders that Maresca may use. So let's talk a little bit about Omari Kellyman and Kieran Dewsbury-Hall and where they like to play on the pitch, right? Omari Kellyman is a little more adventurous, so to speak, than Dewsbury-Hall in terms of what positions he could play. You see him play in this area in the 10. This is in Maresca's system, let's just say, right? You see the box midfield there, the inverted fullback right here. playing alongside the 6. So Omari Kellyman likes to turn up in these areas right there. So like, he likes to get on his left foot for the shot. He likes to play close to goal right here. He almost kind of pops up a little bit and is sort of like a second striker in certain times at Aston Villa. He likes to get on his left foot. That's his preferred foot. He is tall, so aerially you do want him in the box and near, for crosses. So he does play more as an advanced sort of second striker, if you will. And that's how I kind of imagine that he would play. And it kind of makes sense to me because I think that is where Christopher Nkunku would play also, right? Because I think when you talk about Nkunku, he has the ability to drop in deep right there, but he also has the ability, to play here and sort of link up with the number 9, Nicholas Jackson, in this instance. So that's kind of where I see Kellyman fit in, and I do think that it's a pretty easy fit into Maresca's system based off of how Nkunku's going to play, right? So you're going to see him pop up in these areas. You're going to see interchanges. You're going to see him looking right here, trying to make runs, trying to get overlaps, trying to get pushes in from the wingers, because that's what they like to do when they're sort of beat that first line of, that last line of defense right here. And then when they get the ball here to the creators and the 8 and the 10, they like to slide up here and find those runners that are going to come here. I can't tell you how many goals that I've seen from Leicester on Maresca's side where they're looking for those runners. They're looking for the wingers to dive in. They're looking for the number 9 to make a little slide run, and you have to have the quality to make that pass through defenders to get the goal. So that's for Kellyman and Nkunku. Dewsbury-Hall, he operated in a little bit different of a way, more as a playmaker creator, right? You saw him frequently around this area of the field right here, looking for those runners, looking for those passers. I mean, he had a really good season in the championship last year. He had 14 assists, and a lot of them when I watched were those little passes right here. And I can't explain that enough to you. His passing range is so good in those circumstances. His ability to dribble out of tight pressure, take a couple of people on, because when you start to force defenders onto you, you start to see, there's space then for this guy. There's space then for this guy. He is so good at a through ball. So when you start talking about, think about the goal against Forest, where Cole Palmer popped up here and he made that nice pass for Mudryk to slide in right here and finish. That's the type of thing that Dewsbury-Hall can do on that left-hand side. So if you see Palmer over here, sort of in this position, and you see Dewsbury-Hall here, you're going to kind of get both sides of the action running in. You have your inverted fullback popping up here as well for a pass and a pass, or a pass and a back post cross. And I know you can't see that, but now you can. There we go. So there's a couple of different ways. He loves playmakers in those positions, so it's easy to see why Dewsbury-Hall would be a good fit there, just because of his ability to make those through passes. And you saw it last year, so it's not like you're speculating, oh wow, he could really fit into that role. He will fit into that role. He was unlocked, so to speak, under Maresca, which is a very important thing to say, right? When you have fast wingers on the left-hand side, because you think Sterling and Mudryk too, both of them, very quick, very nimble, and able to get past that last line of defense. So in those break situations, that's what's really important to see. But when we start to talk about, how does it look against a low block, that's a little different, right? So let me just adjust this. So when you're talking about against a low block, it's a little different, right? You still want somebody in these areas that can do 3 things. You want them to be able to dribble, pass, and shoot. They need to have that baseline ability. And if you start to look at the players that'll be finished in this area, you're talking Palmer and Nkunku, Omari Kellyman, Caicedo in a certain extent can be in this area. And then, Enzo's right here creating they're going to be switching the play from one side to the other, and really focusing on wearing and moving that defense so you can find space for your runners to get in behind so you can put a slip pass into the striker. From a statistical standpoint, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall kind of checks all of the boxes that Chelsea are looking for in this position. And you saw it under Enzo Maresca. They need somebody to unlock near the top edge of the box, right? So there's a few different statistics that I like to look at when I'm talking about Dewsbury-Hall that gets me excited. Specifically, when you talk about his passes completed, his pass accuracy, passes into the final third, progressive passes. He is always in the top percentiles for attacking midfielders over the last 365 days. He really had the ability to find guys in the box, in attacking situations. I mean, you don't stumble upon the amount of assists that he had last season by not being able to do it. And he really thrived, as we saw on the tactics board, about his, passing it in the back, passing it in the box. And I'll show some clips here of his little draw passes. He's very smart, very intelligent, keeps his eyes up and sees runners. He did it against Chelsea in the FA Cup game, if you remember. He had a number of situations where he had overlapping wingers that he found inside the box, and his ability to complete those at a high rate is something that's very rare for his position. And to do it with such consistency, He's a set piece taker as well. He does a very good job with that. And in possession, he's in the top percentiles with carries and total carrying distance, touches in the attacking 30s in the 88th percentile. He is a guy that thrives on the ball. So if you have Cole Palmer on the right and you have Dewsbury-Hall on the left, and you're feeding in to the left winger making a run, to Jackson making a run, to Palmer coming in, I mean, you have so many options for him. So you kind of need a maestro a little bit up the field, because you'll have Enzo back in the 6, kind of spacing the ball out from the half touchline, but you need somebody to kind of break down a low block, and Dewsbury-Hall has that in him. So as long as people are making runs, he's going to try and attempt that pass, and more times than not, he's going to complete that pass because his precision is second to none. Another thing that I do like about him is just his shooting capabilities as well. He gets people into good situations, so he can get himself into good situations. So, his expected goals was pretty in the 60th percentile, so it's not great, but that's an attacking midfielder and winger, so that's a little skewed. Non-penalty XG per shot, 65th percentile. So he takes quite a few shots. He's pretty accurate with it, and he has the ability to sort of be a game changer outside the box. Just from that left-hand side, he's very good, and you can see a couple of clips that I've been playing over this. He has the ability to put the ball in the back of the net. So he is really a complete player. He's not excellent at everything. He's an excellent passer, I would say, but he's very good dribbling, very good technically, and a very good shot taker. So those are just a couple of the metrics that I thought were important when doing some initial evaluation on the player. So as you can see, Dewsbury-Hall is a little bit different of a profile than what we have currently. He likes to play in those little channels, make those long passes. Not much of a second striker as Nkunku would be, probably pushing up from that 10 position. Not as much of a second striker as an Omari Kellyman. He does have some similarities to Carney Chukwuemeka if he were to stay. But I think Dewsbury-Hall would be a very reliable option in that position. I think if Chelsea can kind of work it in and it's like 25 million plus a player, or like 30 million flat, and come out from a position of power, I think that this would be a great signing. The wages would be there. He wants to be a Chelsea player. I think personally this would be a fantastic addition to the squad. Let me know what you guys think in the comments as well. Always go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. All the support is greatly appreciated. Please feel free to go to Cy Phillips Talks Chelsea on the Substack. The link is in the description below. We'll have further write-ups on him, a full scouting report and how he might fit into Maresca's system. And as always, follow me on Twitter
at CFCDP1, where I pretty much react to every link that's happened with my thoughts. So I hope you have a good night, and up the Chels.